Hello, this is Professor Baswhite. Today we will talk about addition property of equality that we use when we solve linear equations. Okay, let's talk about addition property of equality first. If you have a statement, you have a equal sign, and you have something that's equal to the right, A equals B. What that property says, I can add a number or subtract a number from both sides of that equality. So you used to have A and B already. I can just add a C to it. Okay? I can also do this. If I have A and B, I can also do this. A minus B, C equals B minus C. So I can either add or subtract. Okay? So, how do I do that when somebody is asking me to solve an equation? Now, let's assume I have solve x plus 5 equals 7. Solve means what is x? So, solve an equation means what is that letter. Okay? So, what you do is you want to isolate x and get x equals something. So, this is how you do it. Since this has 5, if it is added, you simply subtract from both sides and put a line through it. So these two will go because negative 5 is additive inverse of 5. So you're going to end up with x equals 7 minus 5, 2. You can actually check if x is 2, does this equation work? X plus 5 equals 7. Instead of x, put 2. 2 plus 5. Is that 7? It sure looks like it. Okay, let's do a couple others. Somebody says solve x minus 5 equals 7. So 5 is subtracted. Additive inverse of negative 5 is positive 5. Or you can think about it, since I'm subtracting, I'm going to add this time. Plus 5, plus 5. I'm allowed to do that with addition property of equality. These two will cancel out because they're inverses of each other. You end up with x equals 7 plus 5, 12. And you can check. Is 12 minus 5, 7? Sure looks like it. So your answer is x equals 12. Okay. Does it matter if you have your x on the right or on the left? No, it doesn't. So, let's do that problem. Now you have this situation. 2 equals x minus 7. So get rid of this negative 7 by adding 7 on both sides. These two will cancel out. You'll end up with x equals 7 plus 2, 9. Does this work? Check. Is 2 equals, instead of x, put 9 minus 7. It sure looks like it. All right. Let's do a little more. Okay. Let's make this a little bit different. Let's do this. Negative 2, and let's make this positive 7. So we have two different problems. Okay. Negative 2 equals x minus 7. How does that work? I'm going to add 7 to both sides. These two will cancel out. You'll end up with x equals negative 2 plus 7. That is 5. You have to watch the integer video before you do these problems. Let's do x plus 7 equals 2. So since this is plus, I need to subtract. X, these two cancel out. X equals 2 minus 7. That's negative 5. And you can also check your answers by plugging them in back. All right. Now, I may end up using the addition property of equality more than once. Now, since solve means what is x, I want to put x's on one side. I usually handle the x's first and the numbers next. So I want x's on one side. I have a 2x on the left and an x on the right. I usually move it to the bigger number side. So what I'm going to do is x, I'm going to have its additive inverse, or subtract x to get rid of these two guys. You end up with 2 minus 1, that's x, plus 2 equals, these two will go, you'll end up with negative 7. This is the one time you use the addition property. That's the first time. Guess what? Now you're going to do it a second time. So you want to get rid of the 2, subtract 2. These two will cancel out. X equals negative 7, negative 2, negative 9. So this is addition property a second time. So the first time I move the x's around, the second time I move the numbers around. So you can do that more than one time. All right. Now I'm going to use the distributive property. The distributive property says if you have some like this, you can write A times B plus A times C. All right, so I'm going to use that property in the first one. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 4 is 8. And you had a positive negative, so that's a negative. Equals 3 times x is 3x plus 3 times 8 is 24. And now you have a negative 2. Now the one thing to do is try to group the like terms. Like terms are the terms that you can add using the distributive property. I cannot add 2x and negative 8 because this one has an x in it and this one doesn't. They are not like terms. So you leave this one alone. But here I have an x and then numbers. I can add these two numbers. They are like terms. So I have this situation. 2x minus 8 equals 3x plus 24 minus 2. That's 22. Now remember I said I usually go and group the x's on the bigger side. This is bigger than that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to subtract 2x. That's the first step of addition property. These two will cancel out. I still have negative 8. 3 minus 2 using the distributive property gives me 1. And you still have a 22 here. Okay? 3 minus 2 is 1. So that's a positive. So you know that you need to get rid of that 22. So what you're going to have to do is just use additive inverse and subtract 22. These two will go. X equals negative 8, negative 22. So that's negative 30. Okay? So actually we did a couple of things. We talked about like terms. We talked about the distributive property. We're going to do more of that when we put all the equation concepts together and multiplication property and so forth. But right now, you know what to do. You know how to apply the distributive property a little bit. And you know what the like terms are. These are terms that you can add or subtract. And we'll talk about multiplication property next.